Yeah, I'll get you your hat this weekend.
Friend.
Oh yeah, so Matt, did you know you're carrying a bunch of stuff back for Thomas?
You're gonna be my
mentioned
mule.
it to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're bringing stuff for me.
Yeah, I'm bringing back like 2 rifles and 2 scopes to you, and then I'm bringing back a bunch. I have the CZ from Tesla as well.
Oh yeah, that's price table, buddy. You got to bring that.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, I'll bring that and some ammo
Otherwise,
for you.
Yeah, that's ammo.
Okay,
awesome. That's the match loaner rifle high end ammo.
Oh, so that's not your personal stash?
No, I don't have a personal stash. How come I don't have a personal stash? I should have a personal stash.
That doesn't seem fair.
Actually, no, I'm waiting. So right now we're waiting for the shipment from Ely to come.
Okay.
And the mailman or Canpar hates it because it's basically heavy. Pallet loads of ammo shipped by the box, by the case.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So
going to Korth or going to Tesra?
Yeah, could be. We'll see where it's going. It's going to Korth, but it might divert to Ottawa. Yeah. So that'll be good. What else? I got confirmation that our custom Voodoo barreled action shipped today.
Ooh,
so that's the donation from And Tom at Go Big confirmed that Minox is donating us a scope for the loaner rifle program. It's going on the Rimex. That's going to be a pretty hot setup.
These loaner rifles are much nicer than most people's setups now.
Man,
it's insane.
I'm shooting on MTR, man.
When that little Rimex loaner shows up in Ottawa, let me know.
Yeah.
It'll be there Sunday, I think.
Everyone on this call right now shoots a CZ. Like we're all 457s, and I think Yannick shoots a 455, right, for your rimfire?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're all CZ.
So before we get into the thick of things, I think we should start by presenting Yannick, and also I think we all want to know what you shoot. So give us a breakdown of your.
We'll do We'll do the gear review.
Yeah.
So in 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
That's a nice paint job.
Yeah, just get it. I bring it to Paul at Red Knob, and I.
Oh, very nice.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I have no idea what I want for this one, so just go ahead, do whatever you want. At the beginning, it was like, oh man, I will paint like hot rod stuff and flame and everything. But I'm not sure about that, man. Not sure.
That's not you, man.
He made something really awesome.
Did you see that Rimex action I showed last week? That was a Red Knob custom paint job.
No, that was nice.
The gray and silver with the maple leaves.
Yeah,
that was Red Knob as well.
Yeah,
very tasteful, very nice.
It was beautiful. It was my ultimate build with a tangent theta on top. Ooh.
Yeah,
and at the beginning, Red Knob only painted for like camo, only camouflage. For hunting rifle, and that's all. And I've started with my center fire last year or 2 years ago, not sure. And I bring it to him with a picture of what I wanted, like full of colors with Cryptek and everything. I was like, do that, Paul, do that to me. And since he do a lot of crazy stuff, yeah, it's pretty great.
Does he work alone, or does he have a bunch of guys with him?
He worked alone for Red Knob, but he also work at it's they get the rifles and stuff for TV shows, and that's the main job.
Okay,
that's the main job. So the gunsmith they build different gun for like futuristic TV shows and weird stuff. And,
I thought they just buy Nerf guns for that.
No, they build them, and now they 3D print them. A lot of them.
Wow.
Or
that's crazy.
Sometimes they just took, for Riddick. For Riddick, they use the sniper rifle and they put a 48 inches barrel on it to make it look even bigger on the screen. And he had the gun at the shop, and I saw it. It's really big. So yeah.
All right, guys, we're going live. Hey, welcome to episode 5, Rimfire Nation podcast. We are joined this evening by a special guest who I call the Iceman, Yanick Sab Leblanc. And along with Yannick, we have our distinguished panel of podcast rats. Matt, Kevin, and Thomas. I don't know if John's... No, John's working. John is working on the road this week, so he's not able to join us. So welcome, Yannick.
Thank you.
How are you this evening? So the topic of this podcast is prepping. Not the prepping, but prepping for a match and prepping for a stage. Everybody wants to know, maybe people don't know, maybe Yannick, you could introduce yourself and kind of what you shoot, how long you've been shooting, and what disciplines, and give us and don't be modest, just give us the straight truth, okay?
Yeah, sure. I've been shooting since I'm 13 years old, about, and I was shooting at the beginning for Olympics, the air rifle, and I've took a break from 18 to 22, 23 years old, and I started back with some F class, and a friend of me introduced me to PRS centerfire, so I started PRS centerfire 1 or 2 years after that. And last year I tried CRPS for fun, as most of the centerfire matches were canceled. So I was introduced to the rimfire world, which is really more complex than the centerfire world.
Oh, thanks for saying that. We've always suspected it, but it's nice to hear confirmation.
Yeah.
That's good. And every now and again you win a match, right?
I won a couple of matches.
Yeah, and I think
he said, "Don't be modest."
Yeah. I think you're one of the most consistent guys in the circuit right now. So congratulations, and I think you came in second overall last year in open division.
Yeah. I've shot only three matches, and the first one I went just for fun from it's a friend of mine who bring me to the match. So I came with my old CZ 455. No ammo, no practice, no drop confirmation, no nothing. And fun fact, I didn't hit anything past 180 meters. So during this day, I ended up like 7th or 8th place, don't remember really, but it wasn't that bad. And I really liked the match and the props and everything. It was at the same place at the finale. At the Sharps,
Battle Hill.
Battle Hill. Yeah,
insane place. Yeah. And I decided to put an ACC, exactly the same setup that I have on my centerfire gear. So I put the ACC on the 455, and I bought better ammunition, make some tests for the drop, and since then, the two other match I shot for. The CRPS, I won them, and I placed second overall, just behind the sharp kids, Brett Sharp. Yeah.
He's a sharpshooter. Hey, so what was your gear on match 1? So you had a 455, and then what optics did you have, and did you have a stock?
I had a Boyd stock.
Okay.
So just as
tactical
standard wood. Yeah, tactical hunting. I don't remember the name they have, but the one that looks a bit like the Macmillan A5.
Yeah.
It was just a 22 I had in my safe to have fun around during the weekend. So I bring that with the SK Standard Plus.
Yeah.
I did some speed tests before the match, but no dope confirmation or anything. And I was like, I'm just going for fun. I don't really want to invest in 22. Yeah. And this is it. And I brought my all my centerfire gear. So I game changer, pin size bag. I bring my tripod, and that's about that.
Okay. And now you've switched to an ACC chassis. Did you find a big difference between the two?
Oh yeah. The balance on a gun make a huge difference on the position you can take, and even more with rimfire, where you can more easily do free fire.
Free recoil.
Free recoil, yeah, thank you. Yeah, you can easily do free recoil with 22. It's really more easier if your gun is well balanced. So the ACC with the 18 inches front, and you can put some weight in front, some weight in the back to make sure you have the good a good balance point. It's really made it easier.
Awesome, good. Well, we look forward. You're shooting the match this weekend, right?
Yep. Is the setup I'm bringing this weekend, the same as last year.
So when was your last range visit?
Well, I went 2 weeks ago just to because I got a paint job on the rifle. As you can see, I got a paint job on the rifle. They changed me the tuner. Red Nub changed me the tuner for the newest one model. I had only an earlier testing model. So I got a new one, so I had to tune it. So I went out with like 20 miles per hour wind to tune the tuner, but it was my only day off since about 2 months. So I took the day, so I tuned it the best I can. And so 2 weeks ago, I went to the range, and before that, it's back to the finale last year.
Oh, really? Last year in November. So you've only shot one time since last year.
Yeah, I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a big winter at the job.
Yeah. So now that you're going into the match this weekend, it's this weekend. What's in your bag? What's your prep? What do you do to get ready for a match? Is there anything special you do?
It's at my feet right now. I can show it to you with the camera.
Go for it.
Do you see it? Yeah, it's not that good.
Yeah.
But
Can't see what it is, but we see a bunch of stuff there.
yeah, but it's not a big bunch of stuff. If you can take a look at it, I have my labrador. I will bring just in case. I have my boots. I have my game changer, one small bag, my bipod. I bring I have my tripod. Don't know if I told that. And all the bag is just my clothes. So this is it. And some food.
If I
have some jerky.
If I told you you could only bring one thing from that pile, what would it be?
One thing from my pile?
Yeah.
My drop chart.
That's your drop.
And the ammunition. Yeah, no.
Okay, aside from that, everyone's gonna have a drop chart. Everyone's gonna have ammo. What is that other thing that you have to bring with you?
Only the bag.
The bag.
Yeah, only one bag. The game changer.
Yeah,
Even if you don't have a bipod, you can do everything with the game changer at home.
Okay, interesting. And what bipod do you run? Is the Harris or?
Well, I have a Harris and I have the MDT Skypod.
Skypod.
I have both.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we'll come back. So now you got all your gears. Do you have a mental checklist? Do you do anything? Do you go through the course of fire and break it down?
If we get the course of fire earlier enough, I will take a look on it during the drive to the match. We have, I don't know, probably 7 to 8 hours to do. So we'll read the match book during the car trip. But it's not a big deal because most of the time you read the match book, you get an idea, and then you walk through the probes, and you're like, oh, it's not what I was thinking. It's tire stacked, so you expect some tires to be there, but finally they're they play differently as usual or stuff. So you can't really make a plan. What I like to do is check the when they check the target size and distances. That tells you a lot. That tells you if it's going to be a hard match or an easy one. And if the wind, I check the wind the day before just to have a look at what's going to happen during the day.
So are you making any stage plans at this point, or just general, just getting a feel for it? Okay.
Yeah, just looking for what's going to happen during the day.
So I have a good idea that the course of fire is going to be issued tomorrow night. So you'll have it in time for your drive. And I see that John G has joined us from his. That is a very hotel room looking background you have there, John.
Life on the road, man.
Life of a working man. All right, we'll get to you next. We're going to go to Matt to see what his pregame pregame preparation is, what his strategy is going into it.
So unlike Yannick, fortunately for me, I've been shooting a lot this winter, at least once a week, sometimes twice. So it's quite a bit different. But just because I have so much, time behind the trigger doesn't mean I'm going to shoot any better than him at this match. And today, a bunch of us, Thomas and Kevin, were there as well. We were there at Stittsville Range, just doing a final systems check before the match. And really, I said this before, I've been shooting so much this winter, nothing's changed in terms of my rifle. So I know how it shoots. It's more just for peace of mind, just to know everything still shoots well. I'll do a quick little rifle check, make sure all my screws are still torqued down properly. And I learned a lesson at the Battle Hill finals last year, because I had a lot of stuff with me. Anything I potentially could have used, I brought it with me, but it was just such a disaster because I had all these bags and milk crates and tripods, and this guy on my squad had a wheelbarrow, and I ended up putting my stuff in his wheelbarrow. So I've slimmed down.
That was Adam.
Yeah, that was Adam. That's right. So I've slimmed it down quite a bit, and I made sure everything that I'm bringing this weekend just fits in one bag, plus my tripod and my rifle.
So you really cut down.
I really cut down.
At the finals last year, some guy even brought a barbecue.
Yeah.
Or a smoker.
Yeah, I know. And he fired the thing up while we were busy shooting, trying to concentrate.
That was rather distracting.
Yeah, as the Quebec
I never did get a taste though. So I got to ask you this, Matt. What is that one thing, if aside from rifle, ammo, and dope charts, what's that one thing you got to have with you?
I have to agree with Yannick. I would just bring the one main barricade bag that I use, basically.
Yeah. Well, what is that brand of bag? It's a Kev Fat?
It's no, that one is the Arco Rail mounted one. The one I use for my normal one is just basically a Game Changer clone made by myself. Yeah. And so anyway, I think it's big to kind of minimize, because you really don't need so much stuff at one of these matches, and just trying to keep track of all this stuff takes a lot of mental capacity that you could otherwise use, better. Yeah. So
when the Course of Fire comes out, what do you do with it? Do you do anything with it?
Yeah, I always print it out. I like having it on paper rather than my phone. And if it's a long drive, like what Yannick was saying, I'll give it a read. I'll make Dory drive so I can read the Course of Fire. But again, with CRPS matches, it's not like ORPS where you have a picture of the props. So
Matt's the only person who gets to have somebody to drive the car for him.
Right.
Okay?
Not the entire way. It's for like,
I don't know any
like
other significant other that goes to matches with them. So consider yourself super duper lucky.
Yes, I am lucky for sure. I'm lucky that she's even willing to drive and go there and film for me. So
Matt, you are so lucky on so many levels.
Yeah, I am. I can't complain. But yeah, anyway, so the Course of Fire is purposely vague, which I kind of like because it evens the playing field. It comes out fairly last minute, and you just kind of deal with it when you get there. So kind of what.
So do you make any notes or any strategies at this point when you get it? Or
I'll prep my dope cards in advance. I might not write down like the wind or the drop data exactly, but I'll prep them so all I have to do is fill that out, so it's a little bit quicker on the day of. But that's about it. And like what Yannick was saying as well, I like to look at the target distances just to get a feel of what it's presenting you with in terms of how challenging it is.
Okay, all right. And what gear? What's your gear? What's your gear right now? What are you shooting?
CZ 457 in an MDT with a Athlon Ares scope. It's funny. So yeah, before John joined this call, I was mentioning before we went live that everyone shoots a CZ in this podcast. All 457 or 455.
And then there's the Rimex guy. Well, we don't know.
And now there's the Rimex.
Yeah. And John came in.
We're gonna drop down to Thomas and get your match prep. What do you do?
What's the match prep?
Do you have a? You don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, and my match prep, to be honest, is more at the range. I'm lucky enough to have the range right down the street from me. So I will, typically go and confirm 0 to 200 all the way to 300 in increments of 25, checking the drop data, making sure that it correlate with what the Kestrel has to say. And I don't know why that thing is dead on. I don't know why I still question it, but I do. And yeah, maybe. And then usually pare down because I tend to take more to the range than I take to a match. I'm pretty much down to exactly what Matthew listed. Rifle, ammo, kestrel, rangefinder, bipod, the sticky game changer, and water and food, basically.
Nice.
And
straightforward.
Exactly. And in terms of the stage preparation and things like that, I will read the course of fire and kind of vaguely prepare the dope charts based on the forecast. But because I use the kestrel, I usually grab the environment right before the shooting the stage and make any corrections if there's any. So that part is just out of curiosity to see if how bad of a whooping we're gonna get.
I hear it's going to be it's a cakewalk match. It's one of those, I think it was one of those meatball
you can't
matches.
go into a match thinking like that.
I think that's what I heard. That's what one of the match directors was telling me. We'll see if it's true though. So, anything else, Thomas? On
no, that's. I think that sums up my the preparation for me at least.
Nice. All right, Kev, how about you?
Yeah, in terms of match prep, I mean, obviously I like to go to the range, like Matt said, and do a kind of final peace of mind check. Other than that, I don't really do much gear prep because I always have it in one bag. I have basically a rifle bag that has a bunch of bags attached to it. So my binoculars, all my ammo's in there. So it's kind of all contained in one single bag. I can basically take that and go, and I'm ready for the zombie apocalypse. And then other than that, I have 2 tripods. I actually have one for my binoculars so that there's always one available for me to spot hits and also for other people to spot. And then there's my shooting tripod, which is, I've adopted for the last 6 months and has made a huge difference. And then obviously a collection of bags, but really there's only 2. I've got the Arca rail mounted, and then I've got a game changer copy essentially. So that's the gear I bring with me. In terms of prep, I started using Straylock, I think, as everyone's aware, and I just do everything on there. So I don't actually have dope cards. I just use my phone and I just snap it to my rifle. So that saves me a lot of time.
I can't wait for your battery to die at the most inopportune time, Kevin.
I was just going to ask, do you have a backup phone then?
Exactly. So I have a phone that's actually my dope phone, that's all I have it for. But my spare phone, I have another case for it that has the same interface. So if ever it does die,
you have a burner phone.
Yeah, I was going to say that the dope phone, the industry standard is to call it a burner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the one I use to call my mistress, But yeah, that's and I mean, if my phone's crap the bed, then I always can just use paper. So there's nothing. It's not like I can't use paper. It's just not as convenient. So that's my prep. Yeah. Okay. And then my one piece of equipment, I guess, that I would bring would probably be a tripod at this point. I would ditch the bag.
Oh my gosh.
And I would go. I'm so dependent on that tripod. You have no idea. It's like, if you guys want to know what my Achilles heel is, just break my tripod, and I'm going to take the whole match.
Let me go back up to Yannick. Do you shoot with a tripod?
Not a lot. Really not a lot. I've learned, and it depends. Some match and probably CRPS are more tripod friendly match, as targets are more on the same way on much of only on the 3 match I've done. And but I've used to see a lot of mistake with people using a tripod during like center fire matches, and most of that is not training enough with the tripod, bringing it to the match and thinking they're going to be more stable with it, because when you train, you're not on the timer, you don't have stress, you don't have anything. So you put the three legs straight on the ground, on your wood ground and inside the house, and you get super stable. And when you get to the competition, you have a rock on the side, you have the props on the other way. So and most of shooter I've saw who's using the tripod for the first time or the first few times have only one leg touching the ground when they shoot with it. So finally, it's not really useful. And another thing, when you have a lot of movement, you use a lot of time just to deploy and just to move with the tripod. So I don't use it a lot for center fire. Some stage, props are so insane to shoot from, and getting a stable position that you can't get a stable position without the tripod. So those are the only one I use it. And as I don't use it a lot on center fire, I don't use it a lot either on Rimfire. But that's
Matt,
personal.
How about you, Matt? Are you a tripod user?
I think I fall closer to Yannick's side of things than Kevin's, but I definitely see its benefits sometimes. Like I don't have one of the fancy carbon tripods, but I use one of my photography tripods, and depending on the stage, again, I've only shot rimfire matches. I haven't done center fire, but I do find it definitely helps sometimes. But what Yannick was saying, you can kill yourself on time if you can't transition quickly or efficiently with it. So depending on what the stage is, even if I feel like it would be beneficial, if there's a lot of transitions in positions, I probably won't use it.
Right. Yeah. How about you, Thomas? Are you a tripod user?
Well, you know how I feel about tripods, but
we
broke under peer pressure.
We know how you used to feel about tripods.
Right, exactly. So
he's converted.
Peer pressure broke me, and I'm such a klutz with it. I haven't had the guts to take it out at a match yet. So far, it's just a very nice holding device for my binos.
Wow, that's smart.
But I'm planning to change that, or we're training. We're training.
There you go. I mean, you're only 10 minutes away from the
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but we're limited, depending on the day, we're limited a little bit into how much positional we can do. But we do squeeze some pseudo match time in there to practice. If there's enough of us basically to occupy the entire range, then we get a little bit more freedom. So the Stittsville screw is pretty strong. And we tend to synchronize so we can train together. But yes, nice. Tripod is on the 2021 project list.
It's on the agenda.
Exactly. But I agree with Yannick. I'm going to make cautious use of it because I often time out in stages, so I'm slow to begin with. I don't know if the tripod is the best tool for me. A nice sticky game changer is my... not prop, but my tool of choice, definitely.
Right. Kevin, did you have something to add? You were saying something there?
Well, I was just saying, I mean, Yannick is absolutely right. It's like if you don't practice, and I shot one PRS match. One PRS match. I actually got first place, but that's besides the point.
Is it because Yannick wasn't there?
Yeah, maybe it's probably because Yannick wasn't there.
Or John wasn't there?
Yeah, I was going to say that's because John didn't show up that day, right?
Yeah, it may be that. But I'm not sure what the props are like there, but definitely a huge thing for the tripod is you have to basically practice ahead of time.
Yeah.
You can't show up at a match. I think I practiced for probably 4 hours in my basement, and then that was just before I even shot with the tripod. And then I shot in the snow, I shot in the rocks, I shot in all these little weird. I basically purposely made the tripod so unusable that I could still use it in those scenarios. So if you're going to use it, make sure you know how to use it.
Awesome. Good. All right, we'll switch over to our resident favorite match director, John G, for his match prep and his opinion on tripods.
Which one?
John, how do you prep for a match? Like, what's your routine?
I don't really prep for a match, and that's going to seem a little bit weird.
Considering the match is in your backyard, yeah, absolutely. I would have shot the match by now.
So I'm like Kevin. I have a shooting bag, and in that shooting bag, I have everything that I will need minimum. So I have a little toolkit in there. That toolkit is always in there. If I need it at home for something, it comes out of the shooting bag. I use it, and it goes back in. Yeah. So I can go out in the morning, and I grab my stuff and leave. I don't have to rush around at night trying to be ready. So from the gear aspect, I'm always ready to go. Just give me the call and let's shoot. For the match book, I read through the match book, and I'm mostly interested in how much wind is on the targets. So in the case of like Chris's match with smaller targets, then it's, you know, a 2, maybe a 3 mile an hour match, and maybe another match is gonna be more like 4 or 5. That's really all I'm interested in. The distance isn't really going to matter because my ballistic calculator will tell me what to do.
Well, let's back up. So most people are, well, a lot of people probably won't understand what you mean by 2 to 3 mile an hour match. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so I look at I look at the distance and the target size, and then if the target is say 0.3 mils wide and it's at 100 yards, I know that that target's going to hold about 3 mile an hour of wind. So if I know what we're running a 3 mile an hour match and my wind is varying from 5 to 8 mile per hour, then I can hold 0.3, or I can hold 5 mile an hour on the edge of the plate, and that will cover me from 5 to 8 mile per hour.
Perfect.
Did I explain that right?
Yeah.
Clearly?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So that's my main interest. Chris doesn't put a lot of measurements on his match, so I can't go into the match knowing what it will be very well. But that's good, because then I have to discover that when I'm there.
I thought Chris's Course of Fire was pretty good on size. The one that killed me was Ron Sharp's. The 2-day match, there was 0 size. You had no idea.
Yes.
You had the shape. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could look at that sometimes. If it's a diamond and it says 6 inches, well, really it's a 4-inch target.
Right.
But I definitely do not try to create any plan, because that's just going to clutter your brain with stuff that doesn't really count, because you haven't seen what the props look like or even the direction of fire.
True.
The one piece of equipment, definitely game changer. I'm firmly in the bag camp.
Yeah. So one of the things I didn't ask, so there's options of fill weight, light or heavy, right? Does anyone feel strongly that you prefer one over the other?
Heavy all the way.
I prefer
just
heavy.
Switched.
I prefer heavy, so I don't. Yannick, do you have a preference?
I use heavy, and you know, my rifle is heavy. The sand on the bag is heavy, but just because I transfer everything from my center fire to my rimfire stuff, because I want stuff to be the same. So I will be, you know, I will train, if I train with the 22 that weight like 22 pounds, my center, it's because my center fire weighs 22 pounds. And I use the same bag for both. But you know what? Last week when I went out to shoot, I've used my I have a small bag, a rear bag, that weighed probably like 2 ounces. It's a really small bag, and I've shot all the same probes with this bag, and I got I got the same score as I have with my heavy sand pin size bag, and I was enough stable, and I was everything on it. But what I saw, it's using a light bag with center fire, give you more recoil. And this is why I shoot heavy stuff, heavy sand and everything. But with 22, I don't think there will be a big difference using really lightweight stuff. But I'm telling that with the 22 pounds rifle. So,
right. Matt, how about you? Do you have an opinion, heavy or light, Phil?
Well, currently I've only ever shot with what would be considered light fill, I guess, the HDP pellets. I have a heavy fill that I haven't put into a bag yet, but so far the light fill has been working for me, and I prefer it for a rear bag. And since I use my barricade bag as my rear bag as well, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to stick to what I'm using. And what Yannick said for rimfire, like there's not much recoil, so the heavy fill doesn't help with that. And I feel like as long as the fill amount, so not the weight, but the amount of fill in the bag is tuned properly, then your bag can kind of conform to things as needed. Because if it's too full, it's too rigid, and there's a good balance. So I try and kind of look to that a little bit more. But I've tried other people's heavy fills before, and I can kind of see both sides of it. I don't think it would give me enough advantage for me to switch to it right now. Anyway, I'm not used to it, so
just gets heavy by the end of the day lugging that thing around.
Yeah, I'm also really weak. I got little pencil arms, so I can't be lugging around too much heavy stuff.
I thought Dory carried all your stuff for you.
Yeah. She helps. She helps sometimes.
She helps. Yeah. Okay. Right. Thomas, what about you? Heavy or light? Do you have a preference?
I have the sticky version of the Game Changer in pint size, and I believe I have the lightweight. I'm not 100% sure because I picked it off in a store somewhere in North Carolina, and I had no idea they made it in different weight. But I would say that I'm pretty sure I have the light one, and I'd say I like it because with the fact that it's sticky, it sometimes in some situation it's pretty hard to pull it out from like a ladder stage or something like that, or the cattle gate. So the fact that it's light, it comes off a little bit easier. And I think I'm in Matthew's camp. I get tired after a while to lugging the heavy rifle and the heavy bag. So
yeah, we just need to work out more. I'm pretty sure.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're hiring.
Do you know how much it's weight? Your bag? Because I know the heavy bag are about 6 pounds. The pen size are about 6 pounds.
Definitely less than 6 pounds.
Yeah, I think mine's about 2.5 to 3 pounds or so.
Yeah, those are light fill.
Yeah.
Kevin, what about you? You're muted, buddy.
Yeah, to that point, Matt, I honestly the pellets are still pretty heavy because Matt's bag is quite a bit smaller. Like if you get a pint size Game Changer, I basically run a pint size Game Changer. It's not, it's made by Matt there, but I have polyfill in it, and it probably weighs 5 pounds at least. So it's similar weight, but it is nice because I like Matt. I use it as a rear bag as well. So with the sand, I find it's a little bit less malleable, whereas they have a really good. There's no friction between them, so you can basically mold it into any shape you want. So that really helps.
Nice. And John, I don't know if we got your answer about tripod use.
Oh yeah, do you use tripod at all, John?
I hate tripods.
Okay.
I would have to admit they have their place.
But let him finish. Yeah, exactly. You may hate them, but
so what? I typically do not shoot with a tripod. If it's a stage where you're shooting off of a rope, I'm absolutely going to use a tripod. And like I'd mentioned one other time, like at Chris's match, with all the wind and it moving you around, the tripod helped with stability and seeing where the bullet flies, so you could make a better wind call. But if I don't have to use a tripod for a good reason, I'm not going to run a tripod, and I'll leave that to Kevin.
That's it. Yeah, and from my side, when I prep for a match, it's one bag. I used to carry a lot of different bags, and it just got heavy. Right, I've always got a camera with me anyway, so I've got my Game Changer, and everything fits in the bag. I've got a pair of binos, first aid kits, blowout kit, dope chart, Kestrel, and smartphone app. That's it.
Do you guys use pump pillows, like the positional shooting pillows, at all?
I do. It helps a lot.
Have one.
Yeah. I don't carry it.
I think I've used it twice.
Yeah, but when you use it, it does make a difference. It's probably more practical than a tripod. Because you don't need to learn how to use a pump pillow. You kind of cram it to fill that void. As long as you know how to get your connection to the ground solid, then the pump pillow fills the void, and it's basically acting as a dynamic rest that you can just bring in anywhere and then tighten up your body, your skeletal structure.
Please don't throw me a rock, but pump pillows are good for beginners.
Okay,
like,
perfect.
If you start shooting, it's going to help you because you don't know where to put your hand, and the pump pillow is going to be in the way, and you're going to be touching more the rifle or have more contact points. But once it's being said, I've started with some pump pillow, and really fast I stopped using them, and the only stage I use them is on a rooftop. It's the only one I get.
Yeah, you come from an Olympic shooting background, though. That's the advantage you bring. is the positional side of it. Like if I had a choice, if someone asked me what's more useful, tripod or pump pillow, I'd say pump pillow because it's easier to use it properly.
Also, none of them. Go out and practice a bit.
Or practice. But if you wanted to buy cheap, if you're going to spend money, that's what I'd spend.
If you start shooting, it's good. A pump pillow is good. A pump pillow is a good way to learn for beginner. But
first go to a maple seed.
Once you
can't get to a maple seed. Yeah, if you can't go to a maple seed, buy a pump pillow.
And I think the pump pillow is more expensive than a maple seed.
For sure. But a pump pillow is easier to get than a maple seed.
Right. Yes, that's true. I have another question for Yannick specifically. Because since you're a center fire shooter, do you ever have thoughts of switching your rimfire to like one of the 700 footprint guns, like the Rimx or whatever, to mimic your center fire better, or do you find like the CZ is good enough? Because I feel like a lot of people use that excuse to go to a 700 footprint rimfire when it's really not totally necessary.
It's a good excuse. And I have to say, I'm thinking about it since the years. Like since the Bergara came with the Remington 700 footprint, I think about it a lot because they use the same shape of mag and stuff like that. But it's just because I don't really want to stay in rimfire world too long,
right?
Because
thank God
match.
That's good news for the rest of us.
The matches are so crazy. The finale last year was crazy match. The Norton
Rimfire series.
One of the Norton was crazy match, and all the props are crazy. All the ammunition, all the mats behind the ammunition. You can't reload. You can get a good batch of ammunition with the lot number, and 1 month later you want to buy some more, and there is no more of this lot. You buy what you have, and it's shot like crap. Wow, super, really fun, fun, guys, really fun.
Well, Yannick, the smart guys are buying it in 20,000 round.
That's right.
Yeah, I heard that.
2 years at a time.
I heard that 20,000 round. Man, you have too much time to shoot. I don't, I bought. I don't remember. I bought 7,000 round and was like, oh man, that's big. And 2 or 3 days after that, I hear 20,000.
Wow. Well, there's 20 over there, and there's 20 over there.
That's funny.
No. So yeah, but it's
7,000.
They do
7,000 rounds isn't going to last you.
Yeah. Hey, John, how many rounds you buy?
Don't ask.
Okay. So he's on the Ely Ammo Club of the Month. He gets them delivered.
It is funny to hear Yannick say that rimfire is so crazy, because in a way it is crazier than center fire, because you have all this like the ammo, like he was just saying. It's pretty nuts, right? It's funny to hear. And would you say like a big reason why you started rimfire in 2020 was because COVID shut down a lot of the center fire matches?
Yeah. It's the only reason I started 22. I took a rifle I had in my safe, which was a rimfire, and I was like, why not? I'll do some match, just to keep the to keep shooting some stuff. And last year I shot 2 matches of center fire, I think, because they closed the border. I think 2 or maybe 3. Yeah, I think only 2. So, but I shot, I don't know, 10 rimfires match. So yeah, it was a good idea to start shooting rimfire, and I learned a lot since then about the ammunition, how you do like lot testing, the tuners, and a lot of learning. And it was really great years for that, and I really appreciate that. The rimfire community is more established in Canada than the center fire is. So it's was really a nice year for that. And for the Remington 700 footprint question, what I think is that most of the good action right now have the Remington 700 footprint. And not necessarily the best actions, but the customs actions all have this. So for center fire guys, I hear a lot of guys saying I can just buy a barreled action and put it in my centerfire chassis, use the same scope, and at the end of the day, it's probably cost a bit less, or maybe it break even on the price for this. Like, let's say, compared to buying a CZ457, put it in a chassis and everything. So it makes a lot of sense for centerfire guys to buy a Remington 700 footprint, and even more with the Bergara is really cheap for what they offer.
Yeah, and you can run the same trigger as well too, right? And that's a big thing. Yeah. But well, here, another way to phrase the question: do you feel like you're at a disadvantage because you're using the CZ, or do you feel like if you practice with the CZ, you'll be just as good as a guy with a Rimex or a Voodoo?
Well, he's already better than those guys, Matt.
Exactly. It's a trick question because he's already better.
It's not a trick question. It's a very targeted question.
It's a targeted question. But you know what I saw about that. I have some friends with full custom rimfire, and they don't have any problems with finding good ammunition that groups well in their custom guns. Like they just go, I will try LA match. They group like less than half MOA. Today I'll try SK match. They do half MOA. If I do that with my CZ, it's not that easy. I use a tuner to fine tune all the stuff, and I do lot testing, everything. But custom action looks like they have less flyers and everything. So maybe you get a bit. It's maybe on the easy side for that, but I'm really not sure. At the end of the day, it's going to make a huge difference.
It's interesting you say that because you have a 455, but we have 457s with the match chamber, the MTR chamber. And I noticed what you were saying. It's not picky with ammo. Like, it's probably not as good as some of the custom barrels, but I find most ammo I put through the match chamber, it shoots it pretty good. Like what you were saying, half MOA at least. So it makes ammo selection a lot easier.
Yeah. I've probably burned 1,000 rounds of different brand, different lot number before finding one that shoot well on the rifle with the tuner on it. So it took a lot of time before finding something really, really insane. But it's really insane the group it does. Like I do most of the time, I do about a quarter MOA. Not all day long, not all days, but most of the time I can do a group like that. I got some flyers here and there, but most of all.
But you're a big believer in the tuner then.
Yeah, it depends on the rifle. If your rifle without a tuner do quarter MOA or let's say half MOA all day long, tuner won't give you a lot of stuff. Maybe it's gonna eliminate some flyers, but it's not gonna impact a lot on the at the end of the day. Maybe the look gonna help you getting some points, that's for sure. But this is it. But if you go with let's say a Savage Mark II, with a lot of fire here and there, the tuner would help a lot. And it's what it did with mine.
Okay, interesting.
But I think Yannick brings up a very good point. Sure, a Remington 700 platform might shoot better, but will it give you more points? And when you start talking an accurate rifle, I don't think you're going to get more points because this is a positional thing. If you can't hold steady, it doesn't matter how good your rifle shoots.
Yeah, and your win bracket. If you don't read the win or you don't get a good bracket for your win call, even if your rifle shoot a quarter MOA, it doesn't care. If I shoot with a good win call, a rifle that shoot 1 MOA groups, I'll kick your ass. That's for sure. If you don't get the targets are large enough to be able to get your impact with a average accuracy rifle over the if you get good win calls and good positional over any rifle that shoot a quarter. We're not shooting bench rest. We're shooting positional with a lot of win at long distances over that. So it helps, but it's not what's gonna make you win at the end of the day. unless you're 1 point from the winner. That may be why you lose.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah. Actually, on that topic, so we have a question from Aaron. You mentioned the practice versus pillows and tripods. When you started positional shooting, how did you train to develop stability and not need tripods or pump pillows? How did you develop?
Yeah, you just have to train. You have to try different stuff, train and more, train and try again different stuff. Think about that. Film yourself. That's a good start point. Also, film yourself during competition, and you will see big mistakes. It's just amazing. You think you're good, and you check your video of yourself, and yeah, you don't look that good. And it's how you learn. It's how you learn. So yeah, you just need to practice. You need a good balance, and it's the basic of shooting. Like your natural point of aim. If you can drop your gun, look at the target, get behind your gun, and you're on the target on your scope, then you're at a good start. If you check at your scope and you have to look at your target, you have to find your target, or you have to lower your magnification under 10. You have to work on this.
Ouch. I've got work to do.
Oh, here's a good question. So Rob Longbridge was he was one of the mentored shooters last match at Chris's. He used one of the Tika T1Xs. From a new shooter perspective in production class, how would you approach the match? What's your advice? Again, this is for everyone in the panel. What's that one piece of advice you'd give that new shooter shooting that match in production class? How should they approach the match? What should they focus on?
Kevin has his hand up.
Oh yeah, okay, Kevin, why don't you start off then?
Rob Longbridge is a little bit of a unique case because he doesn't actually have a PAL, to my understanding. So he's kind of getting into it, and this is going to be his introduction to shooting. But if you do have a PAL and you do have a rifle, it would be practice before the match. You can watch on YouTube and see what it does, but I think the most important thing is actually practice. Because
so what are they practicing though? I mean, you got hundreds of thousands of guys across Canada turning money into noise right now, right? But are they getting better?
Yeah, how do you practice? Yeah, I mean that's a much more loaded question. I was just saying practice, but
have some cycles under your belt.
If you have, really, it comes down to muscle memory. Like make yourself a fake stage, or go find yourself an old course of fire. That's what I'll do. Download an old course of fire, basically print it out and run a stage in your basement. Put a couple targets on the back wall, 20 a distance that you can focus. Obviously, this is all dry fire, and just practice. Like, you don't actually have to go to a range to practice, but like Thomas was saying, he's losing all his time on he's timing out. Well, you're timing out because you're not holding, or you're taking too long to dial, or you don't know what's going on, and you can't find the targets. These are all things that you can practice without actually shooting.
Excellent. Rob says his PAL's in the mail, so he'll be able to solve that problem shortly.
Let me take a crack at that one, because I consider myself, Rob, I had never really shot a rifle until 3 days before my first match in 2018. And I spent a whole lot of time practicing on paper. That to me was pretty useless off of a bench. I would say, what contributed to, and I was shooting production until last year, and I, finally did okay. What made the biggest difference is just perseverance and shooting matches. So like monthly ORPS, a whole lot of time practicing with people that are far better than I am. Two of them are on this panel here. We practice during the summer, probably weekly. And that's the biggest difference. And in terms of technique, the few things that I do consciously now is one of them is to actually look above my turret as I'm getting into position, to make sure that right above that turret in the middle, I can see that target, so that when I drop my head and I get a good cheek well, I'm very close to the target. I can't say that I'm always on target. I still kind of look for things around, but that's gotten a lot better. The other one is, the biggest difference is the follow through, because your follow through will force me to keep my rifle stable, make sure that I don't move. So if I can still see that target after I've pulled the trigger, that's usually a good indication that the bullet's going in the right direction. So I would say, and these are, it's not the most natural yet, even if I've been shooting it for a while, but I've consciously made that effort, and I see the pay, like in terms of tangible payback. Those are key elements that I've learned along the way, and I still have a ton to learn. But those were the first few sort of aha moments in the past couple of years.
Okay. Anybody else?
Don't come with any expectations.
Don't come with any expectations?
No. Don't come planning to do it this good or that good. Just come and shoot. Don't even worry about the points. Because as soon as we create a expected outcome, such as beating Kevin, then I'm setting myself up for a lot of mental frustration that doesn't need to be there. Whereas if I can just come and shoot, not think about it ever, I have a chance of doing okay.
That's good.
It's a really good point. Don't come with an expectation at your first match. You won't gonna do well anyway. Because that's true. In the way
it is.
Yeah. No one's gonna. I never know anyone who shot well at the first match, because everyone is used to shoot prone, shoot from a bench, and you put a timer just close to your ear and go. Start shooting. You have 12 shots. You have 2 minutes. Go. And you have to shoot from there, from the target far too near, and then you've moved there and near too far. And don't forget to check the wind also on that. And you don't have any bag. So don't have any expectation. You won't gonna get a lot of points anyway. But you're there to learn. And on that perspective, I think you have to find someone who's gonna coach you during the day. A friend of you or anyone who that's a really, really great idea, Rick, to bring the coach or the mentor stuff this year, because it's really important for a new shooter. He don't know the stuff. He probably don't have the bag or the knowledge to know what to do just before the stage, how to get prepared, what he dials, how to hold over, how to check for the wind and stuff like that. So just having someone with you who's going to tell you, is your mag full? No, go load it before you start shooting. It's beginner.
Right.
We all did this at some point, and you don't want to buy all the stuff you can see on the internet before your first match, because
that's it.
Half of it you're gonna throw it in the garbage. You won't use it after the first match anyway. So find someone who can coach you a bit, and don't come with any expectation to the match. You're gonna have a lot of fun, and you're gonna come back after that, and you're gonna do better all the time.
Yeah, and for those that aren't aware, I just want to touch on this topic that Yannick mentioned. So CRPS does have a match rifle loaner and mentorship program. So if you are at any stage in your shooting career, if you can benefit from a mentor, an experienced shooter who will walk you through the match or a stage, let us know beforehand. We even have loaner rifles that are amazingly prepared by the crack team of CRPS staffers here. They've got the dope charts. They've made sure that it's zeroed in and firing accurately. We've got game changer bags for you. We have the ammo tune for you. We have the experienced shooters that'll walk you through a match. So if you're at all reluctant or hesitant, just let us know, and we'll connect you with a mentor. And there's a comment also from Dave. Shooting, and again, he's just commenting that shooting off a bench on paper is not a waste. It's one of the best ways to focus on the fundamentals of breathing, focus, and trigger press. I agree 100%. The problem is most people don't understand what they're supposed to be working on at that point. I remember my first time going to a range. I was just so excited that things were popping off and I was hitting down range. I don't know anything about, what is the fundamental of breathing? What is trigger press? I pull this and it goes bang. So I think shooting at the range is great once you've had the marksmanship instruction that's available out there. Again, Project Maple Seed's one of those, but there probably are others out there. So yes, shooting at the range by yourself on paper can be helpful, provided you know what you're supposed to be working on. So thank you, Dave.
I think there's a big caveat to that comment as well. Is there's most definitely a point of diminishing returns. Once you're established and you know that you can shoot let's just say a half-inch group or a 3/4-inch group at 50 yards, I think you're good. It's time to move to positional. It's time to practice because that 3/4-inch group is going to turn into a 2-3-inch group.
Like someone says, the best way to get better at PRS shooting is to do PRS shooting. Right. If you don't train how you're going to compete, you're not going to get at it. So I think simulating the props or simulating the course of fire in your basement, dry firing is probably the best way. And again, there's Dominic's got his indoor dry fire training systems with the little replica you can put on the scope with a simulation of the range at Valcartier with the target arrays. I think that's a great way to look at it. And he's got it set up so you can shoot off a barricade or prone, and then you just put the time limit on, saying you got 2 minutes to pretend to fire 10, 12 rounds at 5 targets. So, and you can make this up on your own at home. So I think that's a good way to do it. So anybody else want to kick in advice to the new shooter getting into the game?
So it wasn't too long ago I shot my first CRPS match. I had shot a couple ORPS match before that, but I would say don't, like echoing what everyone else said, don't have expectations, but also don't be intimidated. Because I remember coming out of the car and being like, why does everyone have sponsor shirts? Like, am I supposed to be sponsored to be here? Like, I thought I was like in this huge, like way over my head, like, oh gosh, like I'm going to get wrecked. And I actually ended up getting, I think I was 8th in my first CRPS, which, isn't too bad. I was happy with that. But don't be intimidated. Like, just go have fun, try and learn as much as you can, and watch the more experienced shooters shoot the stages and try and learn techniques that they're doing, like, the small details, how they're positioning their body behind their rifle and using the barricades in different ways. Because you look at an experienced shooter and a novice shooter side by side, they shoot a stage completely differently. So just try and learn from a good shooter. Yeah.
And what I always say to new shooters is you should be able to hit anything up to 150 yards, no problem. If you're not hitting at 150 yards, either something's wrong with your platform or you need to work on your fundamentals or your positional shooting skills. Because if you can't hit 150 yards and in, you're not going to be able to hit 150 yards and out. So focus on getting the fundamentals down so you can hit those easy targets where trajectory and wind are less in effect. And again, sign up for a fundamentals marksmanship course if you can find it. So that's about it. Okay, so that's the match prep. Let's get into shooting a stage. This is, everybody wants to hear how Yannick does it, so we're all going to take notes now. Yannick, no reason we invited you. All 5 of us just basically want to do what you do.
You should change the name of this, the title of this podcast to clickbait, Yannick's secret or something like that.
Yeah, that's it. We'll do that after. So now we're gonna walk through kind of how each of us approaches the stage. You mentioned, a couple of people have mentioned bracketing, right? The wind. I think there's a number of things. What are the 3 things or 4 things or 5 things that goes through your mind when you walk up to a stage? What is your checklist? And I think it's important for people to understand that everyone should have a checklist, and B, what is that checklist? And it could be different for everybody depending on what you need to remind yourself of. Some things we just do naturally, and others we need to prep ourselves and remind ourselves to go into that. So, yeah, Nick, do you want to kick it off or?
Yeah, sure. I don't want to stay too long on the win.
No, for sure.
Because I should talk. I could talk for more than an hour about that.
He also has a video on YouTube about it already.
I made a video. I don't remember if I made it in English too. I think
no, it's only
made it in
French.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's only in French because in the finals, after day one in the finals, we went back to the hotel and I got my wife to translate the entire video to me for the next day.
Yeah, I should do it. I should do it.
You need reminded again. You have a good wife.
Yeah. Non, Yannick. Non, ça va aller comme ça. Reste là en français. Ça marche.
Yeah, but yeah, that's good. But yeah, so I've made a video, and I only took the important stuff, and it's about 30 minutes of video of wind, and it's all of what I know. And I'm not saying I know everything, and I'm not saying it at all. And I'm not saying my wind calls are perfect, but they're pretty good most of the time. So yeah, I just put it to help new shooters who find the wind, the more challenging stuff they have in their own game, to help them to progress a bit. So it's the only manners. It's the only meaning of this video. I'll try to do it in English sometime. The translation, if I.
So how do they find you on YouTube, Yannick?
It's Canadian Precision Shooting.
Precision Shooting. Okay.
Yeah, it's half. Most of the video are in French, but I have a couple of them in English. I think I translate the most important one. At the beginning, it was because of the you can find the internet and on YouTube and on the forum and on the podcast. You can find a lot of information in English, but you don't find anything in French. And it's true. You really don't find anything in French. And I know a lot of guys in Quebec don't understand the English. So at the beginning, the channel was just to get translation of the information so they can get access to it. It was the base, the first meaning of this channel.
Right.
So okay, so back to stage prep. I did a list because I want to make sure I pass through all my meaning while I get prepared to a stage. So first of all. So I don't forget anything. So first of all, you need to understand the stage, which position you have to shoot from, which target, the order, stuff like that. That's the first thing. You have to walk through the stage, and usually you do that at the beginning of the just before anyone start to shoot. Someone do a quick look everything to how you have to shoot it. After I make a quick plan on how I'm gonna use. Which gear I'm going to use, how I'm going to shoot it. Is it a good stage to use a tripod? Is it which position I'm going to use? If you have, a lot of options, do I have to do a mag change? Everything. Once I have a quick plan of that, I get prepared. Yeah. Load your mag, or make sure your mag is loaded. Take your gear. I do I put the rifle and the bag I intend to use. If I use a tripod, I put all of them together at the same spot. You write your dope. I use I have something here. I use one of those stuff you put on your rifle, and I just quickly write the drop of every target, and I do a first wind bracket. If during the day it's planning to be between, let's say, 5 miles per hour and 15 miles per hour, and during all the morning it's have been only between 5 and 10, I will bracket the smaller wind for all the targets should be at 5 miles per hour. So it means like 0.2 miles and to 0.4 miles, like 5 to 10. So I do a first bracket on the on my dope card. And after that, once everything is done with the rifle, it's put in there, I start looking at the wind. So wind direction, wind force, do you have crosswind down the alley of where you shoot? And I start arrowing also. Most of experienced shooter will arrow during the prep time or while other guys are shooting. So I start arrowing while all my stuff is ready. I start arrowing, counting points or spotting. And while you do that, it's the perfect time to check for the wind. Is the wind changing side? Is the wind blowing more or less or everything? So you can get an idea what's going to happen while it's going to be your turn. And After that, you will do that as long as you're not the next shooter. Once you're the next shooter, of course you start arrowing. You check your scope if you're to make sure your dial correctly. You're not one turn over and you're not on 0. If you want to start at 1.5 mils, it's on 1.5 mils. Make sure your lens scope are open. A last check on the wind call. Just before shooting, you have a bracket. So, if you're missing and you're going on your low number, you probably have to go on your higher number. So you already have a bracket, but you have to make a call before you start shooting. So you might start in the middle of the bracket. You might, depending on how you're comfortable with your bracket and your wind call. If you're really comfortable with 10 miles per hour, then you can go with 10 miles per hour. If you're not, and it's been really, really inconsistent during all the day, you go with the bracket, and when you start shooting, you say, okay, I will start with the low side, and if I miss or if I see where my bullet's going, I'll change my wind call during the stage. And last but not least, you have to flip your hat at the end, just to make sure. And it's really important, even more in center fire, because center fire you have the recoil, and it happens sometimes. You're just like that. You shoot and you kick your hat, and on video you look like that, and that's not. So film yourself so you can see your mistake. And
so Yannick, this weekend everyone's gonna have their hat turned backwards. Now this is gonna be awesome.
It's like the Pokemon Master, before you go in a fight. Yeah.
If you see every well-known shooters at the US PRS series and everything, everyone flip their hat. So you have to.
I think you might have just started a movement.
I can't tell if he's serious or joking, to be honest.
He's serious.
He's serious.
He's serious.
I've seen him do it.
Good question, Yannick.
Check my video. I always flip my hat. Always.
Quick question for you.
You can't be good if you don't flip your hat. That's it.
All right, so I'm gonna flip my hat now.
Do you use your Kestrel during the match, or you leave that in the bag?
Check my win video. I talk about that for about five minutes.
Okay.
I use it. I bought my Kestrel last year, and so I've only used paper drop shot for my drop and my wind call, and I still have a lot of them. They're all in there, and I've only used paper, but rimfire being what it is, you need to adapt during all day long for temp change, and which is not a problem you got on centerfire, because we're smart in centerfire. We use powder that is not temp sensitive. And rimfire, it's a huge difference shooting from 0 degree to let's say 20 degree. It's a huge speed difference. So I use a Kestrel to adapt to that. But it's about the only thing I use, and I put manually the wind in the Kestrel, so it's not even I play around with it just to make sure my calls are good for the wind, but I always put manually all the wind direction and the wind force on the Kestrel. I do all the math in my mind, and I put it at the end to get my bracket, just to make sure.
Nice.
So I use a Kestrel, but I only use it for a year. And at the beginning was not it was not a good relationship we got there.
It was a toxic relationship.
Like battery stuff. The device tells you you're at 88%, and 10 minutes later it's shut down.
I've noticed that. Yes.
What's that?
I put a brand new battery before every meaningful match because I'm so afraid of those batteries going.
I bring 2 or 3 battery now just to make sure. But there is that, and what the issue with all the smart device is that garbage in is garbage out. But what you put in most of the time you think that's good information, and it take maybe 1 or 2 stage before understanding that you're off because you put a wrong scope 8 or something like that, and so you just lost a lot of points because of the device. So yeah, but once you know how to use it, yeah, it's useful, and for Rimfire it's really useful just for the speed adaptation for the temperature setting you have in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm still getting used to the Kestrel and trying to use it intelligently, but very good. A little note on the wind videos. So I remember watching your wind videos a good little while ago, and that was refreshing to actually get French content. But I want to bring out John has a great one also, and I hope I get this right, but I think Donna Bouleris has a video on bracketing, and I think both of you guys had actually talked about bracketing, but I never really got it until I watched Donna's video. And his YouTube channel is Ginger René or René Ginger, something like that, on YouTube. Look him up. That video is amazing. It's really well made.
Yeah, well, he took my stuff and he put it in English.
No, there you go.
Yeah, but that's true. We got an agreement. I didn't want to do it in English because I had to work and I had a life outside of the shooting community.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
I had one of those too.
He wanted to do the video. So yeah, he go ahead and he have part of the French video.
Very good.
The most important part. Yeah.
Well, I watched yours first, then I watched John's, and it finally hit home on the third time's a charm, right? So on that particular video, I finally sort of grasped what he was talking about, and I thought it was well presented.
Yeah, and Donna explain it way better than I do. So yeah, he's better than me with video.
I didn't want to make him a comparison or anything, but
he doesn't wear his hat backwards though.
Yeah, but he looks better.
that's the nod. I mean,
that's the artsy side of him.
So after you clean that stage, do you make any notes after, Yannick?
I used to do that. I don't do it anymore because I try to put more times in arrowing and helping other people. So I've stopped probably 1 or 2 years ago to take notes after all the stage. But at the beginning, and I think every shooter who want getting better should take notes. Most of the guys have a pad for all the stages. So when you can just put your scores on it, and at the end of the day or at the end of the competition, you can put all the info on an Excel. It's what I did at the beginning, and you put all the bad stages you got. What was the probes, and was there any wind? Was there any long range? And after 1 or 2 match, you can easily see where are your weakness. If you have issue, and when I started, I had a lot of issue. I wasn't able to get more than 3 or 4 points on tank traps. So when you figure this out, you practice on tank traps even more. And I built a tank trap myself, so I train on this, and now I clean all the tank trap stuff. So it's how you progress on this. If you have issue shooting long range, well, check your dope first, and if everything, if your dope is all good, maybe it's your win call the issue. So if you're and from a match to the other, we'll get a lot of information. From a match with a lot of win, everyone's score is going to be lower, and where you put yourself in the group will tell you if you call the win well or not well compared to the others. And during the day, without any win, scores are going to be higher. If you shoot really bad on no win or really low win day, your issue is more on your positional side. So it will tell you what you have to practice, taking notes of that.
Yeah, you can't hide. Perfect. Merci, Yannick. Matt, how about you? What's your approach to a stage?
Well, I think Yannick covered basically all the technical stuff, so I'll try and cover something a little bit more beginner friendly. But I remember when I started, I think there's a pro shooter in the States. His name's Phil Vallejo. And he has a good YouTube channel too. He always goes through what he calls the mental checklist, which I think is everyone has it. They just might not put a term on it, but it's good to just have like a checklist in your mind, everything you need to do before you choose a stage. So you're actually ready to do it. And you're not saying, okay, when the RO asks you, do you understand the course of fire? Not just saying yes out of a habit. You actually understand the course of fire, right? And same thing like shooter, are you ready? Well, are you actually ready? So instead of just answering yes right away, I'll do a quick checkout over everything. I'll basically just look at my rifle and just go top to bottom and everything that my eye touches, I just make sure it's set how I want it, right? Because it's still a fairly new shooter. Sometimes I forget to do something stupid, like lens caps are open, my turret is dialed how I want it, my parallax is set, my magnification is set. You know, all this stuff, that all these small things that could take away time if you forget to do it before the stage. So that's basically what I do. I make sure I have all my equipment, my mags are loaded, and when I'm on the firing line, that I'm ready to go. So all I have to do is actually get in position and shoot the stage, rather than trying to finagle all my stuff around.
Yeah, well, I mean that's a good point. A lot of the new shooters don't know what that checklist is supposed to be. I mean,
right.
you kind of quickly went through that in like 10 seconds, but well, what do you mean I got to dial? A lot of guys think they have to dial while they're on the clock, but you don't have to.
Right. Yeah. So depending on the stage, obviously, you want to decide how you're going to shoot it. And based on your first engagement, I would basically set up my scope for that. So if I'm not going to use holdovers, I'm obviously going to dial for my first target, right? And you can pre-dial your first target, or if it's a stage with smaller targets, like a KYL type stage, then maybe I want more magnification. So I'll crank up the magnification a little bit more than I usually would. And then checking, everything, literally everything. Just go over your rifle again, front to back or back to front, and then anything your eye touches, make sure it's in the proper setting or position or what have you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you should be ready to hit that first target without touching your scope, ideally.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the goal.
Yeah. And even something like your bipod setup, if you know you're going to use a bipod on the barricade, make sure it's in the position you want it to be in, because fiddling with a bipod way up there, you're trying to reach it and extend the legs and stuff, that just kills so much time.
Right.
So,
and again, we talked about magnification before. Between 10 and 14 is where most people end up, or should be ending up. Yannick, I don't know, where do you end up in your magnification? Are you a high mag or low mag?
I start liking high magnification.
Yeah,
because you can easily see the bullet trace and the bullet impact, and I like to see where my shots are on the target. And at the beginning of the day, you can see everything at 10 times, but at the end of the day, after a lot of guys who shot the target, you don't see where your shots are unless you're at 20 times on your scope.
So where are you shooting now?
When I shoot standing, and I know CRPS like this stupid position. When you shoot standing, a 22-pound rifle, a 22-pound rifle standing is a pain. So, but when you shoot standing, you shoot with the lower magnification you can, because it's really really hard to get stable. So I shoot usually at 6 to 8 times when when it's standing, and at least 12 to begin with on the obstacle. Most of the time I'm at between 16 and 20 times.
Okay. Now for the new shooters, running at 16 to 20 times, you're not going to find your target. So that's the only trade-off. For the experienced shooter who has good spatial awareness and eye-hand coordination, they're likely going to be faster on target than most of you guys will never find it if you're at 20 power shooting a stage. So just be aware.
When you start, you should be between 10 and 12 times. It's where almost every time every people I know are, and even me, most when I have a lot of targets from left to right, I go down to 12 to 14. Yeah.
There you go. Awesome. Sorry, Matt. I just wanted to jump in there.
No, that's good. Yeah.
That question.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Not really. Again, just make sure you're actually prepared before the stage. Don't when you're not shooting a stage, make sure you're preparing for the next one. Don't leave it to last minute, because when you're rushing, that's when you forget things and make the silly mistakes. So when you have time, that's when you should be preparing.
I mean, if you have a big squad, like that whole time is for you to confirm that you've got everything ready to go, including your wind calls. Yeah, that's the ideal time, because you can watch and you can double check and ask. So if they were missing, ask them what they were holding. If they were hitting, ask them what they were holding. Right? I mean, provided that they're decent shooters, you'll get an idea of, okay, well, ask them what were you holding for wind from a, if they know velocity, just so you can compare, right? Mm-hmm. It's very important to use that time. Like Yannick said, ROing is one of the great ways to see what's going on, who's hitting, who's missing, and kind of what the environment's doing downrange. If there is right now, it's winter, so there's not much stuff going on.
And and most of the squad of people who are used to those matches, during all the day you hear everyone calling their win. Like, I'm shooting at 10 miles per hour. I think it's a good win. And the next shooter is shooting is like, oh man, I got a crosswind at the end. It changed to that. And it's all day, everyone sharing their win calls. You just have to listen or ask the guy, what were you holding out there? And everything. So yeah, everyone share their stuff.
Exactly. Thomas, how about you? What do you go through from a checklist?
It's just going to be one of those, like, do what I say.
What are you supposed to do, and what are you actually doing?
I was going to make the comment that, I'm going to make the comment that at the last match, the poor guy that I was mentoring by the end was reminding me to open my scope cap before the stage. So, so don't make those mistakes. But I think you guys covered most of the basics, right? There's a lot of time when your squad's pretty big. One of the best ways, of course, we're all going to socialize a little bit, but stay focused in the game, watch what's going on. Some of the comments I want to add that haven't been put out there yet is spotting, in my opinion, is probably it's borderline cheating to some extent. Is you get a chance to see what's downrange. What is it going to look like once you get on glass, and also notice where people are missing, and notice, if the target is completely white and this is weird. It's actually inverted when I look at myself in the camera. But if all the shots are grouping on one side, then that's a pretty good indication which way the wind's been going all day. So pay attention to these little details. And I think one of the things I've started doing relatively recently, because I've always struggled with searching for targets. I'm not one with my rifle yet, so my eyes point in one direction, and by the time I get on glass, I'm looking somewhere else. So as I said earlier, just try to line up your eye with the top of the turret, but also before you start your stage, locate the targets. My first target is on the far left, and it looks like it's behind the blue target from this other stage. There's a big windmill in the middle of the field, and one target is to the left of it, and the other target's to the right of it. So I've started making a mental map of what are we going to shoot at. And one of the things I've done is I've replaced my spotting scope for 10 power binos. And that makes a big difference, because when I get on glass, I usually turn it down. Well, I'm lying. I'm not going to lie. I'm not putting it at 10, but I'm usually around 12 to 14, which is much closer to what I'm going to see, to what I saw on the binos. And I find that helps me find the targets a lot faster. So notice the environment and find yourself some reference points so that you know where the targets are. And spend a lot of time on glass building a mental picture of the sequence that you're going to be shooting. I think that's the only thing I will add to everything that's been said already.
Like how common is the people shooting things out of sequence or in the wrong order? It happens, right? And that's usually just mental management mistakes that they, for whatever reason, shooting sequence was not in their mental checklist or their run-throughs.
I'm actually going to add a little something here on that subject. Is sometimes it's pretty challenging to tell which target is in front or behind the other when there's a little bit of distance between them. So I usually cheat and see what other people are shooting to confirm that. If you have the opportunity to not be the first shooter.
That's it.
So that's a pretty important one, and that's usually when I will shoot. I've shot in the past like out of sequence a couple times because of that. Once I got in the scope, it looked like the one on the right was the closest one, and the one on the left was the farthest one.
Absolutely. Again, unless you're the first shooter, there's more than enough time for you to get a look through spotting scope or binocular from the shooting position. I mean, you're not allowed to do it through your rifle optics, but you can certainly say you can grab a pair of binos and sight through and look at what it's supposed to look like, so 100% what the shooting sequence is and which targets are which. Because if you shoot the wrong target, that's all on you. I mean, that's there's no reason. If you're not sure, ask. Like there's when Squad 2 went through the finals, we always double checked and say, well, which is the far one, which is the middle one, because the stuff on Ron Sharp's property sometimes can get pretty hairy, and we spent a good minute confirming, okay, yeah, you got to shoot over it at the other one, so it's again, those are the things that you learn, and hopefully people confirm as part of their pre-stage prep. So awesome. Anything else, Thomas, before we move to Kevin?
Nope, that's it.
No. Mr. Kev, what's your stage prep like? Is it any different? What do you do?
No, not really. Believe it or not, I'm actually listening here while I'm doing other stuff. So I actually wrote down my whole stage process from pre-stage and then during the stage. Everything what Tom said is almost like exactly on point. So I'm not going to take anybody's time. The only 2 points I would make.
I copied what you do. That's why.
It's the don't think about anything but the one stage you're working on. So you just shot a stage and you got 3 points and you're like super depressed and you want to go home and cry. Yeah, that's guess what? But forget about it. Work on the next one, because what just happened. No matter how good you did, don't psych yourself up and say, I'm so good. Or if you did terrible, don't say I'm so bad. Just forget about it and focus about the one stage you're working on. And then the other point I would say is it comes like I shot competitive. I shot IPSC and then IDPA before I shot PRS, and that really walked me through a good process of visualization. So pre-stage, definitely use your binoculars and look at where the targets are, and are people missing to the left, to the right, whatever. That's all good, but you actually have to worry about what are your bodily movements going to be doing. So actually visualize yourself in your mind. Okay, I'm going to take a kneeling. I'm going to move from left to right, and then I'm going to move to the next one, and then I'm going to dial, and I'm going to do from right to left, and actually try to imagine yourself going through that entire stage process just in your head. Not even on walking around, just purely in your head. And that's the other big thing that I don't think was really mentioned. So other than that, what Tom said was bang on.
I want to add just a quick little note. The idea of matching the power of your binos or spotting scope to what you use on your scope is actually a little tidbit of information I got from taking a clinic with Ryan McLean last summer, and that has paid off dividends in my shooting since. So a little thumbs up to Ryan.
Is that a shout out to Ryan?
Shout out to Ryan, yeah.
That's awesome. John, how about you? We want to know what John does, since kind of you're the guy to beat right now, since you are the top winner in the 2021 season.
Yeah, but we know how fast that can change too.
Exactly. Just enjoy it while it's there, John.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting match. I think every one of the top shooters will be here on Saturday. So.
Yep.
But that's not the topic for the evening.
You're not nervous, are you, John? You sound nervous, man.
No, I'm actually not. That's not something I struggle with. To think about stage prep, I like to do everything after I shoot. So I shoot stage 1, and then I'm going to go to my bag. I'm going to load my mag. I'm going to switch out to my new range card for the next stage, and I'm ready to go. Then I'll go and spot, or I prefer to spot actually, and do other things. And when it's time to shoot, in theory, I'm going to have everything ready to go. So I don't actually spend a lot of time visualizing like what Kevin did there, and maybe I should. I tend to not think a lot about it. I'm going to look at the prop. I want to know what height is it, because I know if it's from my knee and down, what type of position I want to take. If it's from my knee to half, like, that's how I judge it, I guess. Because I know if from my down to my knee I can take a kneeling position, I'm going to kneel. If it's too much above my waist, then it's going to be a high kneeling position. So I'm going to categorize each position that way. And I'm going to look, and this caught me on the last match. I shot the wrong target first. But identify where each target is. And a note on that, at Thomas's match, I was standing on the left side of the prop when the stage description was read, and I was looking through my binos, and it was the center target, then far right, then far left. But what happened when you moved over to the prop, the two targets on the right hand side flipped. So what I thought, the target down by the trailer, I thought was far right, was actually center or something like that. So if you're talking about right and left, be sure that you are looking at it in perspective of where the prop is and not off to one of the sides.
Yep.
Or you could get burned.
You will get burned.
Yeah, you will.
You will get you got burned.
And then as far as stage prep, something that'd be interesting for me is the mental side of it, mental pressure. Kevin and I, we have our little personal thing going on, but we do not discuss how the other person is doing in the match, and I think we talk about it less as time has gone by. Like initially there was some joking around about how is it feeling, or like how are you doing. The last match we didn't talk about it. It was just g'day, beautiful weather, and it's kind of windy out. And I think that's important, to detach yourself from where you're placing in a match while actually shooting.
Yeah,
I think it's almost like a game of poker,
Yeah.
Except we're more gentleman-like than poker, because we don't try to probe each other and poke and prod.
Yeah.
Whereas poker, you're trying. We're doing the opposite. We're being gentlemen.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like Yannick said, people will share win calls. Like you can ask people for win calls. It's like we want to win, but we want to know that we truly won because we gave you all the help we could too. It wasn't because I got lucky. We helped each other. It's a true win then if you win.
Yeah.
That's off of the stage prep thing. Now, when you actually are shooting a stage, I think it's very important that you have a system and you follow exactly that system every time. So for me, my system is to dial before I shoot. So I will get into position and then I will dial. I will put the reticle on the target. I will press the trigger. I will freeze. I will identify where I hit or missed, and then correct and do my follow-up shot. Or I will decide at that point, I did not hold enough wind. I'm going to hold this much on the next target, and then I will break position. I'm going to make that calculation before I move. Then I will move, and then I will repeat. I will dial. So I do not dial before I move, because for me in a hunting scenario, I see the animal, I range the animal, I dial, and I shoot. So I want the same process of operation. So an interesting byproduct of that is I never return to zero. after shooting a stage, because I always dial before I shoot. And that may be odd. And I bring that up because it's not as important what your process is. It's more important that you actually have a process that you follow. Because if you don't do the same thing every time, then you'll forget things. You never forget to pull the trigger because it's part of your process. But you forget to take your chamber flag out because it's not part of your process. And that process has to be, you have to do it in training. I train with a chamber flag. And when you train those things, you don't have to think about it.
Interesting.
But you have to train the complete. But anyway.
So as a new shooter, then, if you're 2 revs over on the last target because it's a 300-meter target, you don't go back to 0. You don't reset your turrets.
Why would I? Because I'm going to dial before I shoot next time. Because my process is dial, shoot. So no, I won't actually dial back to 0. But then when I'm done shooting the stage, now I go back to my bag. I swap the range cards out, and okay, now I need to dial 3.2 mils. I will at that point dial.
Okay.
So I'll have dialed before I start shooting the stage.
Okay, gotcha.
But when I'm done shooting, my shutdown process is bolt back, mag out, chamber flag in, close the scope caps, and then I go back to my bag.
Gotcha.
I might
and then
add
part of. Carry on.
Go ahead, finish up.
Yeah, and then when I go to my bag, my process then is pull the range card off, put the range card in my little gizmo, get the new range card out, stick it on my holder, fill my mag, and then dial to. No, sorry, I dial when I put the range card on. I dial, then I fill my mag.
Gotcha.
So that part of it is actually my getting ready process for the next stage.
So should all new shooters have a checklist?
Absolutely.
Physical or mental? Like a proper
depends on who you
checklist.
Depends who you are. I'm not good with written lists. If I'm thinking about something, I write it down when I'm thinking about it and processing and designing what my process is going to be. But I'll never actually use a written list because that's just not how I think. But if you're a person who thinks in lists, absolutely. Have a written list in the front of your notebook. When you go back to your bag, go over that list. And on there, you're going to have check your mags, dial, set your parallax perhaps, whatever things you want to do, absolutely. Have a list. And you could even have yourself a list for just double checking before you go up to, I guess, beyond deck.
All right. So here's a newbie question. How important is setting parallax?
Set it in the middle and forget about it.
That's I just made a discovery today with my scope.
Okay.
Across the range of my parallax, and Matt is very similar. I have over 1 mil of adjustment of
error
shift, depending on where my eye is. It's quite significant. So I agree with John. Normally I just set it and forget it. If the distance is like 100 to 200, I'll put it 150, and I just like, who cares? And I still think I'm going to do that, but everyone has your own little exercise. Next time you go to the range, you should just look at a target and just dial that parallax from all the way one side to the other, and you'll find there's actually a huge shift.
Right.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
I'm not saying
with parallax adjustment, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying set it for 600 yards for a 22 match where you're only going to shoot 300. But let's say we're shooting a 100, 150, and a 250 yard. I'll probably set it for 250. And I will never change the parallax during a stage.
No,
Thomas?
I do the exact same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What about you, Thomas?
I think I start dialing in the beginning, and at some point we get to the point where I've shot something at 200 and everything seems clear enough. I forget about it.
How about you, Yannick? Do you play with parallax during a stage?
Not during the stage. I put it before for like the furthest targets most of the time, just to get the more clear image at the long shot to be able to spot the best of my impacts on my trace. Right. So just a bit before the last target, but I don't really take care of that. You know, most of the day I just forget about it. I put it for the first stage and do it all the day with it.
And in theory, if your cheek weld is in the right place and you're well centered, it doesn't matter. But what Kevin experienced today is if your head is canted to the side, you could experience as much as a mil off of target or point of aim. Maybe something we all need to pay more attention to.
Or just verify with your scopes.
Yeah.
It's important to check.
Well, it's actually, you can mathematically figure out how much error you can induce based on your objective size of an optic. It's just simple math, actually. But anyway, forget it. We didn't go there.
Thanks, John. Well, that'll be episode 38. Awesome. That's good. Any other comments on stage prep? Like what like again, we're always thinking about how to help the new shooters come on board. What do they need to be thinking of? I mean, go ahead, Thomas.
Interestingly enough, Pascal and I were just talking about this, sort of thinking back our last couple of stages, matches. And for me, I saw it very clearly, starting with Palmerston last summer, I guess, and then Battlefield again. And I finally sort of knocked this off at the last match in Warren Field, is eat throughout the day. We were both saying, we bring food and we eventually just forget to eat and we're busy and all this stuff. But I've noticed that, I remember at John's place, we started sort of midfield and we went around, and once we looped around to where the silo is, my energy was low. I hadn't eaten. It was the end of the match for us. And if I look at my points, it plummeted. And I was shooting faster, making more errors, the same thing in Battlefield. So I sort of made a note after those matches. We had talked about the fact that the points were going down. So don't forget to drink, don't forget to eat, because once your energy goes, at least for me, my energy goes, my concentration goes, and I start not caring as much. So a lot of points are lost that way that really are easy to regain. It's just a matter of eating a little bit.
That's it. Snack.
I think that's a very good point, because one of the matches last year, I very distinctly remember a couple of shooters that were taking that approach. Like they didn't eat, they didn't take care of themselves, and we got down to the last two stages, and both of them were saying they just can't wait for this to be over. Like they're just done. Let's just shoot it and get it over with. You're toast at that point. You're not making points anymore. You're just trying to survive. You have to take care of yourself.
Gotta get a food truck to Palmerston.
I'll tell my wife to fire up the barbecue about 3:30.
That'd be awesome.
Just for us.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, just for the Rimfire Nation podcast.
Actually, we were really spoiled at the Eastern Final of Battlefield. I mean, the hot chocolate, the coffee, the baked goods that were coming out. I mean, those were lifesavers for a lot of us, especially to survive the smell of Yannick's brisket that was there.
Yeah.
So was that pre-planned strategy to put us off kilter, Yannick, or?
Yeah, it was a strategy just to show everyone we can do a brisket, arrow a small squad, and win a match.
That's it. It worked.
Nice.
Mission accomplished. And did it turn out well, the brisket?
Oh wow, the best one I ever did.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Just because you're very
that's
hungry.
True. Everyone, no. Everyone who tasted told it was the best. That
Hellraiser. I gotta give me a Hellraiser barbecue.
Well, I think that's unfair, because anybody would have tasted this after the horrible day that we had weather-wise. would have felt, this really good. But no, I think the secret to smoking brisket, and that would be another episode, is just leave it alone. That's the key.
Hey, I think we have our new sponsor, guys. I'm going to talk to Sean
look at
and
that.
see if we can get a Hellraiser.
Hellraiser, that's
Nice.
awesome.
We just need a meat cut. We just need a meat producer, and then we're all set. Awesome. All right.
So Yannick,
I
have a question. Oh, were you gonna do something else?
No, go ahead. That I was gonna open up the questions.
Okay. Throughout the day, do you track your scores as you shoot anymore?
Yeah.
So you write them down as you go? Or?
Yeah, I track all my scores, and just to make, I've seen a lot of time mistakes on practice score because we all put these scores wrong. Sometimes it's because the weather is so bad, the iPad shut down, and so yeah. And when the weather is bad, I wrote down everyone in the squad scores just to make sure at the end of the day we don't get problem. It's just experiences that told me that. And I try to keep track of the bad shot I've made during the day. So I keep track of everything at the end of.
So then, are you tracking in your mind how well you're doing, or you're just simply writing down scores?
No, I'm writing down the scores, and so at the end of the day, I can check. I write the scores in the and like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, or 10 out of 12 or 11. So I know how many shot I took, how many miss I got, so I can do a ratio of like a hit percentage. Also, so I know if I did a good day. If I did a good day with a strong wind, so I know, okay, my wind calls were good this day, or I can track at another scale over the prop side. So it's more, was there anything wrong during the day? Was it the high wind? I made the call on the wrong way. I was with a bad squad, stuff like that. And I keep track of that.
Yeah, but I was thinking more are you adding those up as you go throughout the day? So you got 6 stages down, and you can see I'm at 50 points.
No, I don't.
I blew the day. Okay,
no,
that's what I was saying.
Part of the game is the mental game. If you start looking at your points, looking at the race point of your partner and stuff like that, you're gonna start doing mistakes. And all the time I've tracked other people's scores and looking, and I'm like, I'm 1 point behind this guy. It's not the good meaning of the game. So you should better consider it for yourself and not adding your points and thinking, oh man, I've dropped like 10 points where I should have done only 2, because you don't really know what's happening in other squads anyway. So you better not come in that game, this part of the mental game.
Yeah, so we're doing the same thing. Just the points for the stage, the overall day doesn't matter till you're done.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I do the math just to make sure. Okay, I'm like 80% hit on my day. That's a good day. All right, that's it.
Or 94%.
Yeah, it depends.
What was it in Ottawa?
Yeah, I think it was. I don't know. It was on. I think it was 106 shot during the day possible, and I got 100 points. So
that was the NRS match.
Yeah, the NRS.
Right? The NRS one. Yeah. But that was a very good day for wind.
Yeah, but 1 or 2 weeks earlier, I shot about Cartier a center fire match where we got crazy wind, like 15 miles per hour plus all day long and switchy, and I got 80% impact on this day. So yeah, but
you could smile.
Not all the time. Yeah, it's not all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, when you get good, you realize how little it takes to really change that.
Yeah.
That's it. All right, guys, we're getting on to almost 2 hours. So, any other final questions? I want to thank Yannick for taking the time out of his long day to impart his wisdom and his experience from many years of center fire and his year of rimfire shooting. Merci beaucoup, Yannick.
Pleasure.
I want to thank the panel for your contribution. It's, again, not a lot of people know that we've got some of the best shooters in the game represented by the panel. So I want to thank you guys for all of the effort you guys put into the sport. Thank you for your time. I want to thank Asmir and Miriam at Tesro for sponsoring this podcast. We wouldn't be able to do it without their support, so thank you. If you guys are interested in shooting some Rimfire Precision events, we have two, rimfireprecision.ca/events and the Outlaw Rimfire, which people say are more beginner friendly. But I think for me, it's a more technically demanding sport. But again, they're both good. And again, don't forget that we have a mentor and a match rifle loaner program. If you just want to try out the sport, let me know. Send me an email, info@rimfireprecision.ca. Ask any questions on our website. Yannick, any shout outs to any of your friends out there, enemies, favorite companies?
No, nothing special. Way too much people to thanks for.
I guess that's
the last 2 years. Yeah, way too much. So I don't want to put only one person on the scene.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for your support and your help. Matt, over to you. Any shout outs?
Yeah, like everyone, I guess. Like, well, John, he's the match director this weekend, so shout out to him. Yeah, very excited to drive down and try it. I haven't shot at your place before, so this is going to be fun.
I hope it's
yeah. So clearly, you have not shot at this place before. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun, Matt.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thomas?
Simple shout out to everybody commenting and listening to us. I guess that's what we do it for.
That's it. Kevin?
Shout out to MDT. After seeing that Yannick's rifle there, I'm looking forward to being sponsored by MDT shortly. All right, that's my shout out. I got a jersey with MDT's name on it waiting, you know?
Nice.
I already printed it, so it needed to happen now.
Nice.
It's fun.
John? Mr.
My
Director?
good wife, because I'm talking to you guys and not her tonight.
Such a sweetheart. You'll make it up to her, right?
I'll have to somehow, yeah.
All right, guys. I want to thank you all again for taking the time out. 2 hours is a long time out of a busy week, so thank you very much, Yannick. Merci beaucoup. Thank you to all the listeners and the supporters of Rimfire Precision. Hope to see you guys on the firing line shortly. Take it easy and stay safe.
Thanks, Rick.